Welcome back to today's story, The Great Gatsby. Last week, Nick went over to the Buchanan's house for dinner to meet up with his cousin Daisy, who lives in East Egg with her husband Tom. Tom invites Nick Carraway to go to a party. Stay tuned for the rest of the story. This story is brought to you by Pippity Pop, the only pop that'll hit the spot. The Valley of Ashes is bounded on one side by a small, foul river. And when the drawbridge is up to let barges through, the passengers on waiting trains can stare at the dismal scene for as long as half an hour. There is always a halt there for at least a minute, and it was because of this where I met Tom Buchanan's mistress. The fact that he had one was insisted upon wherever he was known. His acquaintances resented the fact that he turned up in popular restaurants with her, and leaving her at a table, sauntered about, chatting with whomsoever he knew. Though I was curious to see her, I had no desire to meet her, but I did. I went up to New York with Tom on the train one afternoon, and when we stopped by the ash heaps, he jumped to his feet, and taking hold of my elbow, literally forced me from the car.
We're getting off. I want you to meet my girl.
The only building in sight was a small block of yellow brick sitting on the edge of the wasteland, a sort of compact main street ministering to it, and contagious to absolutely nothing. One of the 3 shops it contained was for rent, and another was an all-night restaurant approached by a trail of ashes. The third was a garage. George B. Wilson. Cars bought and sold, and I followed Tom inside. The interior was unprosperous and bare. The only car visible was a dust-covered wreck of a Ford which crouched in a dim corner. When the proprietor himself appeared in the door of an office, wiping his hands on a piece of waste. He was a blond, spiritless man, anemic and faintly handsome. When he saw us, a damp gleam of hope sprang into his light blue eyes.
Hello, Wilson, old man. How's business?
I can't complain. When are you going to sell me that car?
Next week. I've got my man working on it right now.
Works pretty slow, don't he?
No, he doesn't. And if you feel that way, maybe I'd better sell it somewhere else.
I don't mean that.
His voice faded off, and Tom glanced impatiently around the garage. Then I heard, and in a moment the thickish figure of a woman blocked out the light from the office door. She must have been in her middle 30s and faintly stout, but she carried her surplus flesh seamlessly, as some women can. Her face, above a spotted dress of a dark blue crepe de chine, contained no facet or gleam of beauty. But there was an immediately perceptible vitality about her, as if the nerves of her body was continually smoldering.
Get some chairs, why don't you? So somebody can sit down.
Now, a quick word from our sponsor, the Christian Church of America.
This drug, which takes the lives of many Christians, should be abolished. Join the fight to abolish the salt of the earth, alcohol. Don't forget to join the protest on Monday. Again, this message is brought to you by the Christian Church of America, saving souls since Jesus Christ came.
Now, back to our story.
I want to see you. Get on the next train.
All right. I'll meet you down by the newsstand on the lower level.
We waited for her down the road and out of sight. It was a few days before the 4th of July, and a gray, scrawny Italian child was getting torpedoes in a row along the railroad track.
Terrible place, isn't it?
Awful.
It does her good to get away.
Doesn't her husband object?
Wilson? He thinks she goes to see her sister in New York. He's so dumb. He doesn't know he's alive.
Tom Buchanan and his girl and I went up together to New York. Or not quite together, for Mrs. Wilson sat discreetly in another car. Tom deferred that much to the sensibilities of those East Eggers who might be on the train. She had changed her dress to a brown-figured muslin, which stretched tight over her rather wide hips, as Tom helped her to the platform in New York. At the newsstand she brought a copy of Town Tattle and a moving picture magazine. And in the station drugstore, some cold cream and a small flask of perfume. Upstairs in the solemn, echoing drive, she let 4 taxicabs drive away before she selected a new one, lavender-colored with gray upholstery, and in this we slid out from the mass of the station into the glowing sunshine. But immediately she turned sharply from the window, and leaning forward, tapped on the front glass.
Ooh, I want to get one of those dogs. I want to get one for my apartment. They're nice to have a dog.
We backed up to the gray old man who bore an absurd resemblance to John D. Rockefeller. In a basket swung from his neck covered a dozen very recent puppies of an indeterminate breed.
What kind are they?
All kinds. What do you want, lady?
I'd like to get one of those police dogs. I don't suppose you got that kind.
That's no police dog.
No, it's not exactly a police dog. It's more of a Airedale. Look at that coat. Some coat. That's a dog that'll never bother you with catching a cold.
I think it's cute. How much is it?
That dog will cost you $10.
The Airedale? Undoubtedly, there was an Airedale concerned in it somewhere, though its feet were startlingly white, changed hands, and settled down into Mrs. Wilson's lap, where she fondled the weatherproof coat with rapture.
Is it a boy or a girl?
That dog's a boy.
It's a bitch. Here's your money. Go and buy 10 more dogs with it.
So warm and soft, almost pastoral, on the summer Sunday afternoons I wouldn't have been surprised to see a great flock of white sheep turn the corner. Hold on, I have to leave you here.
No, you don't. Myrtle will be sad if you don't come up to the apartment. Won't you, Myrtle?
Come on. I'll telephone my sister Catherine. She's said to be very beautiful by people who ought to know.
Well, I'd like to, but...
I'm gonna have the McKees come up. And of course, I got to call my sister too.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope to see you next week when the events of the party transpire. Have a good night, America.